The best movie of all time just came out, and it got me thinking. How long could I, as a person, survive in the world of Minecraft? As we all know, the Minecraft movie has 4 people transported into the overworld, and rather than becoming, Minecraft characters, they just stay as actual people. The movie is still pretty generous to them though, giving them the ability to actually break blocks by hand, among other things. Rather than using the movie's logic though, I want to see if I could survive in the world with just my human abilities. That means no punching down trees, no surviving creeper explosions, and a skeleton's arrow would probably kill me in one hit. To make this video happen, I broke the game down into a few different stages of survival, knowing that I wouldn't be able to progress to the next layer until beating the ones below it. Let's start this off strong by seeing if I could survive the first night. The second that we spawn into our world, a deadly timer begins ticking. If I don't find shelter in the next 10 minutes, there's no way I'm surviving through the night. Like I said, 1 arrow from a skeleton and I'm literally just dead. You may be thinking this step should be super easy though, right? Just dig a dirt hole and cover the top? Sure, if I was Steve that'd be easy, but I'm not Steve. As I said, the movie was super generous in letting the humans break blocks, but I don't want to give myself that power. A block of dirt is still a cubic meter of dirt, which weighs around 3,300 pounds. I'm not breaking that with my bare hands, let alone picking it up and moving it. For the sake of this challenge, I'll only be allowing myself to break blocks if I have the corresponding tool meant for mining it. That means that unless I can find a shovel or axe, I won't be building a starter base anytime soon. We've only really got 2 options available to us because of that. First, we either need a village, which is the best possible scenario since it'd offer immediate shelter and potentially food, or second, we could find a ruined portal with either a shovel or axe in the chest. That would at least allow us to build a rudimentary base. So, let's go ahead, load up a new world, pick a direction, and run until I see one of those. Right? Wrong. Navigating the world of Minecraft is way more difficult than you may initially imagine. As a reminder, every block is a cubic meter, meaning it's 3 feet and 3 inches tall. That may not seem huge in game, but looking at me next to one, the terrain traversal would be nowhere near as fast as Steve's. Rather than being able to just jump up every block, I'd be stopping and pulling myself up each and every time. Additionally, I've tried and failed to maintain Steve's maximum speed of 12 miles per hour while sprinting, meaning that I'd have to move closer to his walking speed, which is still 10 miles an hour. Absolutely insane. I'll opt for crouch walking in more passive scenarios down the line, but in intense moments like this, the adrenaline would absolutely kick in, allowing me to run for quite a while. To recap all of that, I'll be moving at either Steve's crouching or walking speed, and I'll be stopping for a moment to climb up every block. With that handicap applied to my movement, I need to either find a village or a ruined portal in about 10 minutes before night comes. Sure, I could survive a bit into the night, but my odds of survival are going to drop real fast as soon as mobs spawn. Let's go ahead and start generating worlds until I make this happen. In this first world, I was immediately humbled. Within my first few steps, I almost fell down an 8-block hole. And again, I know that wouldn't be much for Steve, but that'd be over a 25-foot fall for me. Legs immediately broken. So rather than go in that direction, I turned around and started getting used to the process of dropping slowly block by block. And you can see how fast I realized this would give me trouble. I came across another massive drop, so I had to detour a little before getting down and moving forward. Things were pretty chill for a while, all things considered, with some occasional slow terrain navigation. Unfortunately, once I climbed this tiny hill, I ran into a huge issue. And it's gonna be a reoccurring one. The ocean. Sure, I could have just turned around and gone the other way, but I figured that with the time I had already lost, I was better off just starting a new world. Attempt 1. Failed. Attempt 2 did start off significantly more promising, with vast forests and no oceans in sight. The forests were significantly more annoying to traverse slowly, with all of the trees and hills constantly getting in my way, but I made it through the brush until hitting an ocean. Yay. But really, this wasn't too bad. I just turned to the right and kept going, since I still had plenty of land to explore. I continued this way for quite a while, avoiding some minor caves and bumps, before finding another ocean. There's one ahead of me, there's one behind me. It can't hurt to go left and see where this leads. I do see spruce forest in the background at least, so I'll have a change of scenery. And unfortunately, the spruce trees did prove more frustrating, but it didn't even matter because there was another ocean. Don't get me wrong, I'm willing to swim across lakes and rivers, but this would be pointless to try to cross. Let's make World 3. World 3 was generated, and almost as if to mock me, I turned and my first view was literally just more ocean. I almost quit this world immediately, but given the desert environment, I wanted to at least give it a shot. Walking forward, I immediately encountered a ravine, so I turned right and made my way toward the distant flatlands. Things were uneventful for a while. I came across some badlands as well as my first structure, a desert well, which, despite being useless, was at least cool to find, and continued on my way. I made my way into some grasslands finally, and by climbing a small hill, I was able to avoid the sparse jungle beginning to form. I kept going and found more ocean. I don't know if there's always been this much water in Minecraft, or if I'm just getting really unlucky, but this seems absurd. Anyways, there was at least still some grass to the left, so I made the choice to swim across the river on the off chance I managed to find a village, and somehow this paid off. Immediately after crossing and looking up, there it was, my saving grace. I made my way over, having to swim one more time across, and with perfect timing, I went into town as the sun began to set. I kicked a villager out of bed, settled in, and was truly ready to start this challenge. Now that we finally found a village, it's time to actually start this challenge. With our shelter secured and a beautiful morning view, it's time to begin gearing myself up for the long term. That means finding renewable food and tools to work with. Thankfully, the village should be able to supply that for me. Stepping outside, building 1 was a blacksmith, giving me immediate access to furnaces, which is awesome. Additionally, inside I found a chest with some armor, a piece of bread, and a saddle. Additionally, we've got some obsidian handy, and I'll be coming back for that later. Building 2 was pretty uneventful, housing only books, so I kept moving forward. You've probably noticed also that there's a ton of hay here, so when I manage to get a hoe, I'll be coming back to get that for making food. Building 3 was also empty, and this is when I began to realize that this village may not be my saving grace. There are no planted crops in sight, and most of the buildings are located way up on this hill. Saying hello to one of the local residents, I have found a stone cutter in Building 4, and then a brewing stand in Building 5. Those will serve as awesome resources in the future, but for now, I literally just want tools. Getting on top of the church, I again saw just how rough this place was going to be to live in. The buildings were spaced out in such inconvenient and annoying ways. Regardless, I wanted to check everything, so I kept going up. Building 6 had nothing but a blast furnace, Building 7 was literally inaccessible, and Building 8 had nothing. Finally, Building 9 had a chest, and opening it up, it had nothing but a saddle. And then Building 10 was empty. That's it. No tools, no food, aside from a single piece of bread, and no farmland. And that wasn't even my biggest problem. I'd gone really high up, and I had no way to get back down. I traversed slowly, but despite how careful I was being, I slipped. Legs broken. If not worse. That's a reset. Rather than actually going and making a new world though, since that would make this video take forever, I'll just keep tracking the failed attempts in the upper left here. Anyways, I made my way down, got back to the house, and realized that I had essentially just wasted all of day 2 doing literally nothing. Navigating this stupid village is really annoying, and I have nothing to show for it. I need a game plan for day 3. Let's go to bed and talk about my options. If I can get an axe, then I could chop down trees and get some wood, and that would let me craft all the rudimentary tools which would allow me to break hay blocks, giving me food. Additionally, a ruined portal would allow me to access the nether way faster, especially with the obsidian I found in our village. With the saddle in hand as well, I could potentially travel way faster if I managed to find a horse, but that would be more of a background task. Waking up on day 3, I set out looking for a ruined portal, and I decided to climb the hill again on the off chance that the vantage point would allow me to see something of interest. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, so I set off toward the plains. This would allow me to navigate quickly as well as potentially finding a horse, and on the way there, I encountered a couple chickens and made a sad decision. Real me could definitely punch one of these to death, even if I wouldn't enjoy doing so. So I decided to get some extra food and kept going. Unfortunately though today, I found basically nothing. I did see some minecart rails which had me considering above ground mine shafts as a potential option, but the sun was setting and I needed to get back. I grabbed some cocoa beans as I traveled home, and I made it back at perfect timing. Had I been another minute or two, I probably would have encountered something dangerous. On day 4, I opted to do the same thing by just exploring around in a different direction, and after still finding nothing, I made the questionable decision to look at a seed map. I know some of you may hate this, but ultimately I'm looking to evaluate if Minecraft as a whole would be beatable. I don't want an unlucky seed to be what determines my outcome. Also, what I discovered might be even more frustrating anyways. So on day 5, I had 2 portal locations to check out. One of which was supposedly right next to the village where I've already looked. And additionally, the other portal was allegedly right next to where I went on day 3. I have no idea how I could have missed both of those, so let's go check them out and see what's going on. Traveling south of the village, I realized what the issue was pretty quickly. The portal was conveniently right at the bottom of a massive cave. Fantastic. And looking around, there's genuinely no way for me to get down there without dying, so I turned around to check out the next location again, when I died. I guess there was a dark enough patch for the stupid skeleton to spawn, and after an arrow to the body, I lost another life. That puts us on attempt 5. I managed to get away and started heading back towards the mesa. After an uneventful travel, I discovered the next issue: water. The portal was apparently somewhere out here in the ocean, so I swam out and started looking around. The first cave was a dud, but the second one finally had one. Optimistically opening the chest, we found an axe. Literally the best case scenario. Anyways, I can't spend too long getting excited since we've already made it halfway through the day. So, jogging back home, the sun began to set even earlier than I anticipated. Thankfully, I made it back without encountering any problems, and I'm super excited to see what day 6 holds with the new tool I found. Before this day starts, I think it's time to talk through one final rule. Realistically, I have to break blocks and craft to beat the game, but that being said, I don't want to let myself walk around with blocks since most of them weigh thousands of pounds. As a happy middle ground, I'm allowed to hold blocks in my inventory, but I can't walk with them. That means that I can craft with them or place them within my vicinity, but I can't move around while holding them. If you disagree with this, that's fair, but genuinely, I have no idea how to make this more reasonable. So, starting day 6, I had a lot to do. Knowing I'd finally be able to get some food, I ate some bread, organized my inventory, and set off looking for a tree to chop down. This took way too long, but after locating my first one, I went ahead and started chopping. Remember though, I'm not allowed to move with blocks in my inventory, so this is going to take some getting used to. I started by placing them a little bit closer toward home, but realizing this would take way too long, I made a crafting table and started building all the starting tools. Ignoring my terrible crafting, I got everything I needed and slowly made my way down the hill, shoving the crafting table as I went. Now, tragically, I did immediately break my rule by carrying 2 blocks with me, but I became a lot more conscious of this and didn't do it afterwards. Anyways, I went back up to get a bit more wood, made a hoe, and headed to town to finally get some food. I'm finding that it's way easier to just place crafting tables all over the place, so you'll be seeing a ton of these around. Anyways, I was able to get more than enough bread to probably last me the rest of the playthrough, given how little food I used with only walking and minimal jumping. Afterwards then, I grabbed some saplings from the blacksmith and planted those around the house for easier access to wood. Then I started making stone tools from the home's foundation. Because I'm super intelligent, I accidentally crafted 2 pickaxes, but we're gonna start a mine anyways, so that's okay. However, to avoid consistently picking up dirt blocks as I dug down here, this is when I had the bright idea to start filling my inventory with seeds. I went around, breaking a ton of bushes, and spread them out so that I wouldn't have to worry about picking up dirt when I didn't want to. Super clever. Finally, day 6 ended with some intense action. I tried to sleep, realized there was a zombie outside, and had an insane fight before making it to bed. As far as I can tell, day 7 will likely be my last before I start making my way to the nether. To start out day 7, I decided to move a crafting table inside as well as a chest since I've started to accumulate a lot of junk. I went ahead and put a lot of that in there, and afterwards collected some wood to make sticks. I smelted some logs as well to get charcoal so that I could finally have a few torches on hand. After all that stuff, I went down into my little mine and began crafting. Given that I'll likely be mining a lot in the nether, I did my best to stock up on a ton of pickaxes, as well as 2 of each tool type in stone. That way, I can make my way through most obstacles that I encounter. This entire process was super tedious, making sure I didn't walk while holding any blocks, but we got it done, and I finally headed out. I wanted to scout out the portal location and start digging out our starting point to get downwards. Looking over the edge, it genuinely does seem like we're only missing a few blocks, and I could probably finish the portal with the obsidian we have from the blacksmith chest. I started digging a little bit, but since it was getting dark, I made my way back home and slept for the night, planning to make it to the portal by tomorrow. To begin day 8, I did a few more little chores by going outside and collecting sticks, but after dealing with this annoying guy, I politely sealed him away for the rest of all time. Going into the blacksmith's, I crafted a few more pickaxes out of paranoia, and I grabbed the obsidian and my fire charge to light the portal. For the sake of this challenge, obsidian is going to be my one exception for carrying blocks. Otherwise, I'd have to deal with some major issues that I don't even want to consider. So, obsidian and fire charge in hand, I headed toward the portal. Mining downwards, I encountered a small reservoir, and after a magma block jump scare, I kept making my way down. Unfortunately, I ran into some major issues pretty fast. This side was jutting out above a massive cavern, and I couldn't find anywhere to reasonably mine down. After trying a few different options, I just gave up and went to the other side that looked a little bit more promising. The dark entrance was a bit foreboding, but I slowly made my way down and mined the rest of the way until I was ground level with the portal. This was it. A creeper and a witch loomed in the background, but I went for it and ran out into the open, placing the obsidian and lighting the portal. It's day 8, and we're ready to enter the nether. If I need to come back and upgrade to iron tools, we can make that happen, but for now, let's enter and see what lays on the other side. And that's where we're going to end part 1. I was planning to do the full challenge in a single go, but this ended up being a lot more than I initially anticipated. Between being a teacher and getting my master's, I don't exactly have a ton of free time. But if you're enjoying the challenge, be sure to come back in 2 weeks for part 2. If you have any suggestions or changes you want to see implemented, feel free to comment those as well, and I'll happily take them into account. Thank you guys. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It means the world to me, and I'll see you guys next time.